Good morning. It is 8:49 a.m. in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. This is Mark Kulak, broadcasting live streaming from my room, from a room that I use as my bedroom and my research studio and my streaming studio. It is June 2nd, 2026, and this is my show, Houstonic.live. Although we've been blessed with being able to have a career where I was able to move into a nice house in a good neighborhood, very beautiful part of the world, in a great country, the house is needed a lot of work. These are the things that I'm a home enthusiast as well. I love looking at old homes. I love studying architecture. I love studying home carpentry. I love participating in carpentry and doing carpentry projects. It's sad that life is so short in a way because there's so many things I would like to see and do and build and techniques I would learn. And although I've done some projects, it's like, wow, they take time. Anyways, this is a little bit of a tangent, I guess. But there's sawdust all over everything here. What started off as we knew that there was an uneven floor in the room. I know this sounds so boring, but what the hell, right? Turned into the fact that the room bridged a wall, which was sitting on a concrete footing, which didn't settle, and the rest of the wood around it did on either side of the room. So it needed all kinds of flattening, leveling. I want to say flat, not level, because I can't level it because of various other aspects of the room and of doorways and thresholds and everything else. We found a cracked floor joist that was missing a joist hanger. All the subflooring needed to be removed in the room. There were electrical problems. There was an ant infestation from years ago that needed to be dealt with. It's a broadcasting studio, so there were sound installations to deal with. There were thermal installations issues to deal with. There was a closet issue that needed to be reframed. It's like the middle of the house needed to be gutted. And it wasn't clear. I mean, from a photograph, everything looked fine. There's no stains on anything, but it needed a lot of work. It's still, I have, unfinished drywall over there. I'm only about 65% done with the floor. I had to rebuild my whole streaming station, and I've taken some videos of it. I might even sell plans for it at some point because the way I have it laid out is actually really smart. And it works for me, though. I'm not someone who's here doing interviews. I'm actually engaging with a lot of my content. And in fact, that's one of the differences. You'll notice like Candace Owens, who I'll speak about a little bit today. And I can't stream for hours today because we are blessed with having some family come in from out of town, staying at our house for some time, which is one of the reasons why I needed to get a bunch of things done, and I haven't been able to stream as much the past few days. But if you've watched shows like Candace Owens, where they're being interviewed or they're interviewing, right? And they have their questions, and they're just kind of relaxed, and they're looking, very beautiful, very proper. The clothes are very polished. They're not running the production. So I'm running the production, and I'm engaging with the content as I show it, as I find the different exhibits, as I organize things, as I guide you through it. So my station here is built for me. It's built for the way that I have to manage this content and for the fact that I'm sharing it with you. And I need to have a certain number of screens so I'm not spending too much time flipping back and forth between tabs and so on. Of course, having separate computers, and I use 3 different servers, 4 if you want to include the iPad, helps because sometimes you'll open up a window and the audio will be on, for an advertisement or something, and that can be no fun. That can be deafening. So I need to manage different audios to the computers. Anyways, so I've had to rebuild that, and that took an extra several days as well. Everything just takes longer, and then there's other stuff going on in life also. I have a lot of links saved, content saved, and I wanted to walk you through it today. Mark Kulak, Houstonic.live. You can go to houstonicits.com or housatonic.live. That's HOUSATONIC.LIVE. Let's go to early COVID survivors. EARLY COVID COVID survivors.com. Earlycovidsurvivors.com. And by the way, I did have the highest number of overall views and the highest number of daily views in the channel history this past month for May of 2026. Keep pretty detailed analytics across all of our platforms. So, it's a slow uphill battle, and the numbers don't mean what you think they mean. But I've tracked them long enough, and I understand what's going on well enough to be able to extrapolate that there's some success there. But it's not as big of a success as it may seem at first, nor is it a non-success, okay? There is some goodness there. But, again, I don't want to get too distracted from that. So, early COVID survivors. We have been keeping track of a list of people who, in the early part of COVID-19, and these are the months of January, February, and March of 2020, stated that they had COVID, that they had the COVID-19 disease, that they had tested positive somehow. Yet, miraculously, thankfully, they survived. The fact that people were claiming, who were publicly known, who were visible, who had a platform, okay, were getting sick, and then we're tweeting about it, doing interviews, saying, "Oh, it's okay. This is what I'm due to recover from it," is one of the things that made the narrative real that there was a virus spreading around. There were far more people than projected dying during the time of coronavirus. We're going to get into at some other point. Well, we've already covered it, but Jonathan did a good job covering it yesterday about the whole excess death, all-cause mortality, and all of that stuff. So there was tragedy happening. Anyways, the narrative that there is a virus and the virus is what's making people sick and the virus is going around. One of the things that made it possible was the fact that there were people who were known about catching it. If some unknown person working at a inventory room for a trucking station in Iowa who only sees 5 people a day or something like that got sick and then got better, no one would know about it. But when Tom Hanks says he got sick and he tested positive for coronavirus, well, people hear about it. They talk about it. All right? It gets promoted. So the early COVID survivors list gives us a list of people who were doing this. I think most of them were knowingly participating in something which was BS. Some people here may not know that they were duped. I don't know. I think it's possible. Let's keep that door open, but I'm not really sure about that. So the early COVID survivors list gives us a timeline, and it also helps us identify who might have been part of creating the COVID narrative. Now, there's some names on here which, if you haven't watched my show for a while, if you've watched mostly CNBC or even like a Fox News, you may not have heard of some of these names, and that's okay. They're names that I'm very familiar with, and if you're just watching my show for the first time, if you watch it more often, you may learn more about these people. Some of them are no longer active, making content. There was a Dr. Andrew Huff, who all the way back in November 2019 claims to have had COVID and recovered, which would make him the very first U.S. citizen to catch COVID, possibly even the first person in the world. It's ridiculous. And this is from a story that he gave 2 or 3 years later. It doesn't mean he actually had it, or he ever tested positive, or he was even sick then. So some of these data points are from stories which were told at the time, meaning early 2020. Some of them were stories which were told by people years later, 2020, like December 2020, 2021 or 22, maybe even later. So they may be, retrofitting their narrative, right? There was a Dr. Kevin McCarran in Japan, a Dr. Steve Bachenik, who more people would be more likely to know because he was actually a U.S. government official in a couple presidential administrations, even worked for Henry Kissinger back in the 70s or 80s, 1970s and 1980s in the United States. And in a January 29th, 2020 interview, this is very early, he stated he had coronavirus 6 weeks earlier, which would be December 2000. See, there's a typo there. Should have said December 2019. And then there's like other more popular names. So there's Gwyneth Paltrow, the beautiful actress, American actress. She said that she contracted COVID in early February 2020, which would make her one of the first people, again, in the United States to have had it. Among the first, not the first. There's a whole story of this man from Wuhan, China, who flew back to the United States, known as the Snohomish County Man, named after this county in the state of Washington, where I believe the representative was the Indian-born Jamala Jayapal at the time, who's now, of course, on the Epstein thing. There's Dr. Robert Wallace Malone is on this list. So moving it along here, because these don't really align with the title of the show, there's Milo Yiannopoulos admits that he had coronavirus on an InfoWars March 12th, 2020 show. Milo Yiannopoulos is possibly one of the first people in the whole Breitbart sphere to work with Candace Owens. Maybe among the first, okay. Possibly Raheem Kassan, who was with Milo Yiannopoulos, might have also gotten sick with the coronavirus. So if you don't think the Breitbart people are also promoting the COVID narrative, you're wrong. You're just wrong. They were as well. Some of these I've saved locally, some I haven't. Now, this one here is really crazy. Tom Hanks, the famous American actor, Tom Hanks' his wife, Rita Wilson. On March 11th, 2020, Tom Hanks and his wife tested positive for coronavirus while in Australia. Presumably, they would have caught the COVID on the first week of March. So this is covered in a vulture.com article, vulture.com. It's an article that was written a few weeks later titled Famous Celebrities with Coronavirus. So March 11th, 2020, okay? March 11th, 2020. I'm not doing any chat today. My whole situation right now is just a mess. Just look at me. This is a mess. My paperwork, my mails, I had an event I need to be scheduling. Everything's just a mess. My life is a mess right now. So you can be mad at me and frustrated. All I can say is that I do everything I can. So sorry about everything just being a mess right now. And thank you for supporting this mess. So this is the tweet. This is from Tom Hanks' tweet, March 11th, 2020, 9:14 p.m. March 11th, 2020, 9:14 p.m., Tom Hanks says he and his wife have tested positive for COVID. March 11th, 2020, 9:14 p.m. I know why the focus on such a specific point. So on March 12th, 2020, at 2:26 p.m., which is 16, 18 hours afterwards, Norm MacDonald tweets, "It's morally wrong for me to do a stand-up and cause strangers to possibly become sick. And now with this virus, it seems even more wrong. I'm postponing my next 2 gigs, but I am hopeful a vaccine that protects us all from Tom Hanks disease, THD." So Norm MacDonald has the Tom Hanks disease joke queued up already 18 hours after Tom Hanks announces that he's sick. So Hanks announces he's sick March 11th, 2020 at 9:14 p.m. On March 12th, 2020 at 2:26 p.m., not even 24 hours later, Norm MacDonald, the comedian, the late comedian, announces that he has to cancel his show because of Tom Hanks' disease, his next stand-up shows. Okay. Now, up until then, let's go to the Internet Archive. Norm MacDonald is alleged to have had a show scheduled at the Improv in Irvine, California. Now, if he's canceling it on March 12th 2020. That would mean that on the evening of March 12th, 2020, or March 13th, or March 14th, his show is canceled. You got it? Because he's not saying, I'm going to do the next one, and then I'm canceling the subsequent ones. Norm Macdonald here is saying he's canceling his next show, his next two. So he's postponing his next two gigs. Now, according to the Improv, I want to look at the very last backup, the Improv calendar that was taken October 28th, 2020, okay? So according to the Improv Irvine, California event calendar, I want to look at the November backup. According to this, Norm Macdonald had a show scheduled at the Irvine Improv comedy show in California for March 5th and 6th, 2020. So now we are looking at the November 20th, 2019 backup. Excellent. So from here, now let's look at all the shows that were upcoming shows that were scheduled. Oh, they had Bobby Lee. Huh, funny. So here, very good. Norm Macdonald was scheduled on March 6th and 7th, 2020. Norm Macdonald was scheduled on March 6th and 7th. Norm Macdonald was not scheduled to present at the Improv after March 6th and 7th, 2020. Norm Macdonald was not scheduled to present at the Improv after March 6th or 7th, 2020. You got it? So when Norm Macdonald says he's canceling his next show on March 12th, I don't know what show he's talking about. Just hang in there, okay? Because this, you may not realize where this is going, but trust me, and this will flow a lot better after I clean it up. So this is Norm Macdonald's YouTube channel. You would think that such an established comedian would have a lot of content, but he doesn't. Now, one way of looking at it is that maybe he never really decided to invest that much into his online presence until coronavirus. Okay, I could give him that. But if you look at his videos on here, the very first video that Norm Macdonald posts, okay, is his stand-up at the Improv about coronavirus. And this is part one. And he posted the video on March 13th, 2020. He posted on March 13th, 2020. Now, let's go back here, because according to this, on March 12th, 2020, Norm Macdonald said he was canceling his upcoming shows. Now, I don't know what shows those were. I have no idea what shows those were. None. But here, on March 13th, the day afterwards, he posts this video skip, and it's clearly from the Improv. Now, I don't know when he recorded this. In fact, because this remains the most specific and the most watched joke about coronavirus skit in the world. It's this skit right here. So let's just play it a little bit, okay? Because I've watched this many times and laughed many times, but never understood the context of it and never was able in a position to question it.
I wasn't going to talk about the coronavirus. But on the way here, I got really ill. But I think it was because I ate a cherry pie. Like, I got a cherry pie from Bristol Farms, and I ate it, and then the car was going weird, and I was like, oh. And then he turned on the radio, Jeremy, and then all the fucking news was like, the guy was like, well, there's been so far 11 cases, 50, 200. I don't feel good, you know, you're like, oh. This is not good. I feel like I'm in a fucking middle of a Stephen King novel or something fucking like. What is this? So my plan is just to not die. You know, survive long enough where they find a cure. You know, some people will have to die. But finally they'll find a cure for me. And then I'll thank all. It's funny how Big Pharma is so evil till now.
When you listen to it, it sounds like he's joking about it. It sounds like he's making like he knows it's all a scam or a joke. But the more you hear it, the more he's kind of reiterating it, a lot of the points and reinforcing it. Now, because he uploaded this as his very first video on March 13th, 2020, all right, and he said in his tweet about he's hopeful for Tom Hanks disease, okay? There's no way he could have done a show mentioning Tom Hanks disease if Tom Hanks didn't actually get sick until March 11th. You get it? So if Norm MacDonald says something about Tom Hanks disease, which he does in one of these skits, and I have to go through the audio again, that would mean that Tom Hanks is already sick. But the improv calendar doesn't show Norm MacDonald presenting after March 6th or March 7th. So how would he know? Unless Norm MacDonald was already part of it. Norm MacDonald knew that Tom Hanks was going to get sick, which then brings into question, if Norm MacDonald is on stage before Tom Hanks says he's sick and jokes about Tom Hanks having a disease, how does that make any sense? That's not possible unless what you're watching here is not the actual show that people went to. I think what you're watching here was a specially recorded clip that is not the actual audience that went to the March 6th or 7th clip. Because I've listened to several other audience shows that were recorded, like people leave their phones on. None of them align with what you see here on the screen. So this was a special recording done, and you can tell from the laughter that it's almost a laugh track. This is not a real stand-up. Norm MacDonald's a real stand-up comedian, or was. This is not a real stand-up. This one clip is a made-up clip from a show that didn't really happen, that was promoted as his last show. Many people believe that what you see here is actually his very last show. And he's even gone on to say that this may be the very last show that he ever does. In fact, see, do I have the clip on that? Yeah, on March 14th, he tweeted, let's see here, since I may never do stand-up again. What kind of a thing is that for someone to tweet? Do I have that one here? Yeah. So, since I may never do stand-up again on March 14th, and you know what? Since he's dead right now, he never does stand-up again. And he's joking again about Tom Hanks' disease. Tom Hanks only got sick March 11th, 2020. Norm MacDonald, within 18 hours, is already joking about Tom Hanks' disease. And somewhere, I think, in one of these audio clips, he jokes about the Tom Hanks disease. How is this possible? It doesn't line up. I know it's painful to think that Norm MacDonald is in on it, but I believe he's totally in on it. And I'm going to present a lot more evidence now that makes it much, much worse, okay? That makes it a whole lot worse. So then Norm MacDonald goes on to do a couple of podcasts, if you will, impromptu podcasts in his apartment in California. First off, you have March 29th. So not long after this bit, on March 29th, 2020, we're still in the early COVID survivors phase, Norm MacDonald does a funny video.
Eating in a bat cause the Chinese flu. But don't knock it if you try it is my message to you. I eat them flying rodents and I get a lot of flack. But once you go bat, you never go back. You may think I'm some sort of ghoul, but I'm just a man who's a bat-eating fool. I eat that bat all over this town. You can find me sleeping, hanging upside down. I like girl scrugs, but I prefer Lester flat. I like a T-bone steak, but I love me a bat. I never was much of a heavy metal dude, but me and Ozzy Osbourne got the same taste in food.
I mean, some of the lines are kind of funny and clever, but come on. You know, this is really sharp. For May 29th, 2020, he's already got the song all written. I don't know. This is bad. Now, 2 days later, all right, on March 31st, he has his, like episode 4 or 5 of his impromptu quarantined podcast.
All right, it's good. We are going to talk to a famous person today. See how he's doing. You may know him from Full House or America's Funniest Home Video. I know those shows are both 20 years ago, but hey, 30 years ago. But hey, who cares? He's still famous. Bob Saget. That's right. On famous people and see how they're doing, you know. And
you don't care about people that aren't famous? I mean, you don't.
So he has a phone call with Bob Saget. Now, Bob Saget was one of the first people that met Norm after Norm started comedy up in Canada, like back in the early 1980s, Bob Saget. It's also noteworthy that Bob Saget died only a few months after Norm MacDonald died. So Norm MacDonald died, nobody knew he was sick, right? He just died. And in the hospital during stem cell therapy or something like that, we think. Bob Saget went to bed one night and died of a brain hemorrhage that I guess happened when he tripped on something. Nobody knows. He tested positive for COVID, and then he's gone as well, and the family said no to an autopsy. So you have two people here that are both dead within 2 years of this phone call. A little bit odd, but you know, we're not immortal creatures. But it's a little bit odd. It's a little bit noteworthy. Now, one of the very last shows that Norm does here, let's hear. This is April 5th, 2020.
You know how weird this is? This is just the stupid thing I do with my camera, but it's getting reviewed. Isn't that weird?
I'm not on camera, am I?
No, it's just me talking to a phone.
So on April 5th, 2020, this is just after the early COVID phase, okay? Now he is talking to Roseanne Barr. Roseanne Barr, while Bob Saget may be the first person
So do you want to hear?
that found Norm MacDonald after he started doing stand-up up in Canada, Roseanne Barr was the first person that gave Norm MacDonald a full-time job in comedy as a writer for her skit. Now, Norm MacDonald was a writer for Roseanne Barr on the Roseanne Show episode, season 5, the same season where they had the as a guest on the show Morgan Fairchild, the American actress, who had been friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Remember, Norm MacDonald confessed being having some friendship or knowledge or whatever with Jeffrey Epstein 20-something years ago in a 2020 tweet. So Norm MacDonald is part of this circle, okay, this social professional circle here. This is the last comedy-related interview that Norm MacDonald does. Now, there's one more here. Let's see if I can find a link to it. And again, this is a very see if I can find it here. Remember, that was April 4th, okay. Let's type in Norm, L-O-K-O. So this is a March 7th, 2021 show. It was actually recorded November 17th, 2020. So this is the last recording that I can find of Norm Macdonald.
To tell us all about it. Did I butcher it like I just did my beer pong game? Hi, guys.
I know you're. Hi, how are you?
Hey, Dean, I was just thinking about, because you had Alex Trebek on, the great Alex Trebek. We have down here in the United States, we have J.D. Roberts from that very studio you're in.
Of course, yeah.
Alex Trebek, Peter Jennings. All of these Canadian that started as hosts of teen dance shows.
It's so
became
true.
respected broadcasters.
It's so true. Listen, and I'm so happy you guys are talking about this because we're all looking for love in all the wrong places.
So Norm Macdonald, in 2019, became the co-founder of a startup tech company called Loco, L-O-K-O, that he co-founded with an Indian Canadian, and it was the first video-only dating app. And this is the last video I can find of Norm Macdonald. He's doing news interviews regarding the dating app Loco towards the end of 2020. He's not doing stand-up right now. His health actually looks, I don't know. This is not definitive evidence of anything. This is a newspaper. This is from newspapers.com. This is February 14th, 2020. This is a Canadian newspaper. This is actually February 2020. It's a full-page article about the video, a video tool that helped a radio personality find his lost love. And it goes on to talk about how this platform, Loco, L-O-K-O, was started by a tech entrepreneur named Vivek Jain from Regina, Canada, and Canadian comedian Norm Macdonald. So Norm Macdonald is part of a tech startup company with an Indian-Canadian tech entrepreneur. It's noteworthy that if you go to, for example, Norm Macdonald's show with Bob Saget, and if you look at his hat, it's actually L-O-K-O. It's actually Norm Macdonald is using these. Let me see if I can find a different angle of his hat. He's using these to promote his tech platform, Loco. And he's not a spokesperson. He's a co-founder. So he's invested money. Now, this company, Loco, didn't go anywhere. A lot of tech companies don't. But I never picked up on it. I just thought it was a cool hat. Okay, I didn't realize he was actually promoting a company. The company hasn't tweeted since 2020, so obviously the product hasn't gone anywhere. Who knows how much? Maybe Norm Macdonald got a great big payout. So although he's not doing stand-up anymore, maybe he received a few $1 million from this. This is how these tech platforms work. People take money, which who knows where they got it. They throw it into a tech platform, startup, IPO, the stock goes up, people cash out. I don't know. Now, Norm Macdonald, again, he dies in 2021, and it's very sad. Of course, the tributes to Norm Macdonald are that everyone says that nobody knew he was sick.
Sick the last 9 years. And I would work with him, see him all different weights. He'd be bloated, then he'd be thin from all the medicine he was taking. Yeah. People thought he was drunk, but it was the medicine he was taking.
Really?
In hindsight, I realized that.
He didn't tell anybody?
Great. He told our manager, Mark Gerbitz.
Oh, really?
And that's all, and his son, and me, and Dana. He told Dana too. And the VFW downtown. Yeah. And the Mason Club, and Girl Scout Troop 25. The people in Albania knew.
I think that one of the reasons I'll play that again, why it's so funny, because I bet you half of that's true. It's funny because I'll bet you he's in Albania. I can totally see Norm Macdonald being part of the Masons Club.
Nobody knew he was sick the last 9 years. And I would work with him, see him all different weights. He'd be bloated, then he'd be thin from all the medicine he was taking. Yeah. People thought he was drunk, but it was the medicine he was taking.
Really?
In hindsight, I realized that.
He didn't tell anybody?
Great. He told our manager, Mark Gerbitz.
Oh, really?
And that's all, and his son, and me, and Dana. He told Dana too. And the VFW downtown. Yeah. And the Mason Club, and Girl Scout Troop 25. The people in Albania knew. Nobody knew.
So If you really dig into the Norm Macdonald timeline, it gets very fishy. I don't believe that the show that is promoted heavily as his very last show is real. The more you watch it, the more you listen to it, the more you realize that there's something weird about the laughter. Something doesn't line up. The more you watch this video, something doesn't line up about it. Why is it not perfectly clear? Why is it when I zoom in, I can't quite make out his face or these people's faces? How is it that he had a comedy skit that was...
It's like, what's it, $200 a pill? Yeah, that's good. That's fine. I'll take. Give me all you got. But and now I'm sniffling, and I don't know what that is.
All right, so let's start building out a little bit here. The show with Roseanne, that was, at least it was posted on April 5th, 2020. Again, it looks like he's dying. He's got his sweatpants on and everything. But if you're Canadian, at least, you know that he then gets his shit together, and he's doing, videos promoting this new tech platform with the Indian tech entrepreneur up in Canada.
I can't tell you how many people.
He seems to get his health together, at least in some other circles. That's good, okay? But the fact that his last comedy-related show is with Roseanne, and how does it end? The ending is...
And that's what he said to you?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I can't believe that, really?
Yeah, now that we all only have 2 days to live, we may as well just tell the truth.
Okay, shut my door, yeah. You're going to Target, wear a mask. Okay. My cart's right there. Okay,
Wear a mask.
Don't-
Target for me.
Tell her to get Beyond Bat.
Get beyond bat soup. I love Beyond Bat Soup. Can I have that sponsor my podcast too? Beyond Bat. Everybody out here is saying that they're getting us ready for something worse coming.
Oh, man, why you have to freak me out? What?
Yeah, because it's just so awful. All I do is pray all day for the USA. Remember when you never got around your grandparents out of respect for them when your kids were sick?
That's right.
Well, that's gone.
Yeah. What used to be just simple politeness is now fear of getting pulled onto a freezing truck outside of Cedar Sinai when they're pulling out the body bags.
Yeah.
It's moved fast, baby. It's moved fast.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
We saw it all in our lives.
Yep. There's a line by T.S. Eliot that goes, not with a bang but a whimper, not with a bang but a whimper, not with a bang but a whimper. This is how the world will end. Okay.
Wow. That's quite a way for a stand-up comedian to end the show. But then he goes on and sort of like almost a different audience, he's promoting this tech platform. But he leaves his fans with this, the world is ending. Man, that wasn't even funny. I'm actually quite mad at Norm right now. I've watched him, listened to him so much. He's one among my favorite comedians. But then I start to think, why is he one of my favorite comedians? Because I found him? How did I find him? I found him because the TV gave him to me. I found him because he was recommended to me by late night talk show. He was recommended to me by movies. He was recommended to me by the cable television. He was recommended to me because when I go to the store, he is on, or was, recommended by the magazines, by the tabloids, amongst other people. That's how I know him, because he was promoted. I didn't know him because he was just so funny that, like a wildfire, one person said to the other person, you got to watch him. I know about him because he was promoted. if he was not promoted, I never would have known about his existence. Which is the same thing that you see right now on Twitter. If you go to YouTube, if you go to any of the other platforms, you know about things because they're promoted. When you go to the store, why is Time Magazine and People Magazine, at least within the United States, among the most read magazines? Because they're right in your face when you go to buy some groceries, when you go to buy some vegetables or milk, fish, wherever, the tabloids are right there in your face. That's why. And when you go to YouTube, why are some people the most watched? Because they're right there in your face. The things with the machine, with the most, and the players, the most influence, want you to see, they're right there. The internet is almost no different in this way. And you will believe that they are the most watched things because they're instantly given several million free views. In fact, the views are pre-populated online so that you know what you should be watching. You know, the Rachel Maddow, whoever, will be given 10 million views. Candace Owens will be given 5 million views or whatever. They're given free views in a way to encourage you to watch them. Sort of like the magazines and the newspapers are positioned certain ways on the rack at the store when you go to the store. It's the same thing. So, of course, if something is given billions of views, the likelihood that you're going to watch it goes up. So, of course, the most promoted thing with the most fake views also probably gets the most real views. That's how these numbers work. And things which are never supposed to be seen, such as my program, will never get a view. And I'm not going to buy any views. I'm not even going to, why should I waste any of the dwindling resources that we have on that? Anyways, so his last comedy-related show is with Roseanne. How does this matter? Well,
all of them.
Right.
Because a few weeks later, on July 31st, 2020, is the very first Candace Owens show, episode 1.
Good. Water. I think
quite a while that
Candace Owens, episode 1. Not like the first interview. Candace Owens, episode 1 is Roseanne Barr. Norm MacDonald, comedy-related interview last, is Roseanne Barr. Norm MacDonald's first full-time job is Roseanne Barr. Do you see it? Now, let's have one more. I did this the other night in a show. This is the New Yorker magazine. New Yorker, July 17th, 1995. Okay. New Yorker magazine editor for several years. Actually, the person credited with saving the New Yorker magazine is Tina Brown. The English-American journalist Tina Brown was the editor and manager of the New Yorker. She previously was with the British magazine Tatler and played a major role in covering the life during the wedding of the death of Princess Di. Tina Brown is a giant that no one wants to talk about. Tina Brown also became the lead editor of Talk magazine, and her staff there went on to become part of Radar magazine, which was at one point owned by Jeffrey Epstein, and then subsequently was owned by Yusef Jackson, the son of Jesse Jackson. Tina Brown of the New Yorker magazine got really close with Jesse Jackson covering his campaign in 1988, years ago. Now late Jesse Jackson. Reverend Jesse Jackson, if you prefer. Tina Brown allowed Roseanne Barr to be a guest editor multiple times on her magazines. She handed over, Tina Brown, the full editing capabilities of her magazine to Roseanne Barr. The same Roseanne Barr that is episode 1 of the Candace Owens show. So the person that trusts Roseanne Barr, Tina Brown, the journalist, the editor, the British American journalist editor, whatever, giant, who's so close with the royal family, who's such a big was part of the life of Princess Di, Meghan Markle, who was the main editor of Talk magazine for Harvey Weinstein. Tina Brown trusts Roseanne Barr so much, or at least did, that she allowed Roseanne Barr to be the full editor for several versions of New Yorker magazine. Roseanne Barr is episode 1 of the Candace Owens show. Roseanne Barr was episode last of Norm Macdonald. Roseanne Barr was the first person that gave Norm Macdonald a full-time job, season 5 Roseanne show, that guest starred good Jeffrey Epstein friend Morgan Fairchild. Tina Brown, very close with the Jesse Jackson family. And the Jesse Jackson family is the one that worked with Candace Owens when Candace Owens stated her race-based hate crime allegations back in high school. Candace Owens is managed. I don't know when she was first discovered, but she's been managed for a long time, since high school. And you will find Tina Brown, you'll find Jesse Jackson, you'll find Al Sharpton, you'll find Mark Weiner, you'll find Harvey Weinstein, you'll find Anna Wintour in Vogue magazine. Her network, the Candace Owens network, between her ages of 18 and 26 or 27. You'll even see that her meltdown in a bunch of emails in the year 2016 regarding Gamergate involve feminist movement participants, I believe, such as Zoe Quinn of Gamergate, who are even at the Tina Brown events in India. So it seems a little abrupt to have had so much of this show about Norm Macdonald and the Norm Macdonald timeline. But the point here is that Norm Macdonald's career is very much tied in with Roseanne Barr. If you were to ask among what are the most upsetting, controversial things that stand-up comedians have done in American culture in the last 40 years, you'll find number 1 was Roseanne Barr singing the national anthem joyously off-key and butchering it back in the year 1990. Number 2, Norm Macdonald joking about 9/11. Those are basically 1 and 2. Norm Macdonald and Roseanne Barr. And Roseanne Barr and Norm Macdonald, right up until the time of everyone being locked down, are on a podcast, Norm Macdonald's last podcast before he dies, with stem cell therapy or something. It's not really clear. Norm Macdonald joked that, his brother in Northern Canada. Remember, Norm Macdonald's sister-in-law is the Canadian ambassador to the Vatican. Norm Macdonald's brother was in Israel recovering 9/11 at the date of 9/11 or something like that for Canadian news. And Candace Owens is in the thick of it. I can state confidently that it's reasonable to assume, or it's reasonable to believe that Candace Owens was on a short list of people who could have been potential princess candidates to Prince Harry of England. They were looking for a very particular demographic, a particular age, someone who was very kind to the camera, who could be on TV. And I don't know how many more there were. 5 more? There could have been 100 more. I don't know. I'm not saying that Candace Owens was the preferred candidate, although she might have been. It's possible. But I can state with a high level of certainty that she was on that list. Candace Owens has been part of a machine, which means there's also a bunch of other people that we just don't know about or haven't quite figured out yet that were on that list with Prince Harry. I have the Roseanne Barr, some more of the Roseanne Barr magazines where she was guest editor with Tina Brown coming in still. I think that's enough. I have a lot of other stuff to cover. Roseanne Barr does say one very interesting thing here when she's giving her little background
thing that means nothing at the end of the day. Conservatism versus liberalism. And then
Right.
you have this show that humanizes it. And
They don't know what I live and what I do. And, they put me in a little pen like they put us all in. I say it's human veal. They put us in little laugh or feel good. Want to do what black people do.
And it's funny because I think they know that. So when I was trying to assess.
So what I found interesting is Roseanne Barr makes a mention of a woman named Angela Davis, who I don't have a lot of background on. I've heard the name. I think I've heard it. And when talking about the whole issue of Zionism and racism, and oh my God, I don't even want to go down this path. But anyways, I'll let you figure it out. I don't know. Sometimes I'm just having to do a lot of knowledge dumps lately. I wish I could do a longer show. I'm sorry that this is just kind of a little scattered, but I think the one thing you can extract from this is the Norm Macdonald timeline of events. It doesn't line up. There's contradictions in it. The timestamps regarding knowledge of Tom Hanks' disease, and even this show, this stand-up here. I'm mad. I'm really mad to think that we were lied to like this. I'm mad because I thought that Norm might have been different. But I'm stupid. I'm the stupid one. It's not like Norm Macdonald's my neighbor and I know him personally. I'm trusting him because of his affect, and I discovered him by the same machine. Why should I have expected anything different? I let myself be fooled. It's hurtful. It's frustrating. Well, here we are. Oh, boy. Anyways, this is what happens. I need to start streaming more regularly again, and I will in another few days or so. I got to get to work. Love you.